What's up? What's up? Another live stream. James here with It's Your Life. Doing a live stream today on, I think I'm doing triggers. Triggers for DP, what makes it worse, times you feel worse, and also triggers for anxiety and panic. Um, so if you have a question on DP triggers, um, or just stress triggers in general, anxiety, panic, DP, hit me up with the questions. My biggest ones for both the times that, sorry, got a weird text message. My biggest triggers for both DP, like what makes my DP worse, and anxiety and panic. Yeah, I have three pretty generic ones. One, driving in a lot of traffic. Um, Being in standstill traffic, where you can't pull off, where you're stuck in like the middle of traffic. Not when you're on the outside or like when you could just turn and go another way. Like when you are stuck in the middle of a traffic jam, and always, uh, that one always gets me. Not always, but it's one of the one situation in which I feel uncomfortable, because you can't get out of there. um, Another one of mine would be being in a place where a lot of people are talking, like so, not a like a place where there's a lot of people and it's so loud that I like can't hear myself think. That bothers me. But I'm working on all of them. They didn't used to bother me. They bother me now for some reason, but I'm working on them. And then the last one is pretty generic too. Driving around at night, the lights they bother me, and they make the DP worse. And same with going, especially at night, into like a big store like Walmart or the grocery store. Some of those artificial lights and how it reflects off the floor and stuff is just a man. It makes my DP way worse. Um, those are all situations in which my DP get worse. Um, and all of it, all of it goes hand in hand. Anxiety, panic, DP, whatever. All those situations make all those worse for me and make them more likely. But you can't avoid them. They may be triggers, but they are unavoidable. And if you do avoid them, that's when you start having issues and make your world smaller and smaller. So I, like everybody else, have to work on it every day and have to do it. And sometimes I struggle with it. Sometimes it's easy. It just depends on the day. But you got to keep working on it daily. Um, yeah, because if you don't push yourself every day, uh, then you're falling backwards. Because like I don't know who said it, but famous quote, you're either getting better or worse every day. You rarely stay the same. Um, it's uh, it's a good idea to face your triggers, but be aware of your triggers. If you're going into a place like that, you know, if you're going into a situation in which hey, this is something that I fear, this is something more like it triggers my anxiety, makes me feel worse and stuff like that. Have your plan ready. Have whatever you do if don't run away, but have your awareness plan, ready. I'm a big proponent of putting it on a just a little flashcard or something small laminated, whatever. It doesn't have to be laminated, even if you put it on a piece of paper, or maybe you put it in the notes section of your smartphone or whatever you can do. Um, I like to do like a little laminated note card, um, to put your panic plan on there, to where if you're going into one of these situations, have that little thing in your pocket to where if you're in this situation and you're aware, hey, I'm more likely to happen in here, and you start feeling stressed out, you pull that card out, you read over it. Maybe it has a grounding plan on it, like you read it for a second, because and Look around you. Start a conversation. What are three things you can see? What are three things you can smell? What are three things you can hear? Anything to get you grounded back into reality. And at the end, don't give up. Don't run away. Face it. Um, Anything you can do to really have a plan um, for when it gets bad. If your plan's just breathe deep and take a Xanax, whatever your plan is, um, whether medicine wise or if you have a breathing exercise you like to do, whatever it is you start doing when you feel stressed, whatever helps you come down from it, have your plan laid out on a note card or whatever, or just go over it and be aware of it beforehand. But don't not do it just because it's one of your triggers. The more you face it, the less sensitive you become to it, and eventually you just not even scared of it anymore. But for the meantime, while you are still working on it, take a note card and write down your plan, and be aware this is something that bothers me, but go do it anyways, and let it let it serve as a reminder of what you need to do in those situations. But yeah, triggers. Um, I'm trying to think of triggers that other people have told me, like that give them panic attacks or whatever. Um, this is a different kind of trigger, but I have heard some people say, "Oh, weed triggered my DP," or this hard partying triggered my DP, which is incorrect. Um, Weed can trigger temporary depersonalization, sure, on its own, but it'll go away. The real deal depersonalization that you get, even if it did start when you're smoking pot from a massive panic attack or whatever, is not from smoking pot. It's uh, you were already there from having an anxious mind and being an anxious person. Um, it was already knocking on the door. The weed just kind of kicked that door down. It didn't cause your DP. That didn't change some kind of chemical makeup in your mind. It just opened the door. You already had a tired mind, and were an anxious person beforehand. I'm a firm believer in that. That if you trace it back, you will be able to find some sort of link to anxiety beforehand. Um, Triggers. What has other people told me? Just stress and panic attacks. Other people. Um, but another like panic triggers. Other panic triggers that I've heard people talk about. You know, the standard ones: being in small places, small dark places where there's no air moving. Um, in the car, um, in the movie theater. I'm trying to think of some others. See, there's one person in here. If you've got any questions on DP triggers or anxiety triggers or uh, panic attack triggers, shoot them in or tell me what your triggers are. Um, the But yeah, big triggers on panic. You hear people who get so tired, get so scared of panic, or they feel like they can't breathe good all the time and stuff, so they'll stop eating as much, or they don't want to eat when they're not around people because they feel like, oh, I feel like I'm gonna choke all the time. I don't want to be around people. When I do, I've heard people say that they get scared of eating because they feel like they're going to choke because they always feel that lump in their throat. They get scared of eating because they feel like they're going to choke, but at the same time, they said they always feel so nauseous because of the stress and stuff that they don't want to eat around people either because they feel like that they're going to puke and embarrass themselves, which you don't need to be embarrassed of. Everybody throws up at some point in their life. It just happens. But that's a hard situation to be in. You want to be around people eating because when you're eating, because you feel like you're going to choke and you're scared that you want someone there to help you. Let's see. Really bad headaches and head pressure because of my anxiety. You ever get that and haven't found what triggers me yet? Let's see. I'm going to read this out loud instead of mumbling it, guys. I'm sorry. Um, I get really bad headaches. She says, I get really bad headaches and head pressure because of my anxiety. Do you ever get that? And I haven't found out what triggers me yet, but I've had anxiety really bad for 6 months now, and I'm still really confused. Um, the headaches and the head pressure, absolutely. I have always had problems with headaches, but it definitely is much worse ever since I started struggling with anxiety. Just because stress in general tightens muscles, it tightens, I don't know about you, but I get them even in my ears. Like my ears are hurting behind my eyes, like a sinus pressure almost, and it just feels almost like I can't hear as well. And all that pressure's in my head. I do get that for sure. And the best ways to deal with those tension headaches, uh, and it's really something for me that headache medicine never really helps. Like, even when I take headache medicine to deal with it, it doesn't help that much. But I've heard a lot of different things. I've heard a lot of good things about yoga, just doing general things like because hip things to release hip muscles and stuff like that. Generally release. I know it doesn't make any sense for your head, but it does. Um, Releases tension inside your whole body and allows some of that to go away. Weirdly enough, I tried it one time. Definitely helped. I just don't have time to do it all the time because it does take a little while to do a full yoga thing and stuff like that. And not to mention, I feel a little weird when I do it, but you got to do what you got to do, and it helps for sure. But yes, I do have trouble with the headaches for sure. Um, Another thing, let's see, what else did you have on there? You haven't found out what triggers it yet, but you have been struggling with anxiety for 6 months. Um, best way I have figured out to start understanding and whether it's your triggers or whatever's been bothering you for 6 months, there's got to be a root cause of it, in my opinion. Um, so what I would suggest you do is go back, a year or 2 years on a piece of paper, not a piece of paper, but a little notebook or whatever, and write it down. Literally write down a timeline of events for your life. Like this helped me so much. I mean everything, not just good events, but bad events, good events, bad events, whatever you can remember. This bothered me, that bothered me at this point. I had this event and I felt this way about it, and give yourself a timeline up until now. And a lot of times, if you do that, it'll bring back it'll make everything in chronological order will make more sense because you can start to see like, well, this happened, and then that bothered me here, and then I started feeling like this here because of thinking about that there. And when you put things in chronological order, it starts to make a little more sense, and you get back to understanding why why you're there in the first place, because you can see on paper like, oh, well, I get it now, because it just it you can see where it started, and you can see where its progression. And I like to refer to that as like building the mountain, especially people with depersonalization, or extremely bad anxiety, agoraphobia, panic disorder, whatever. I like to refer to it as building the mountain, because all these problems started. It says, I'm only 15, and it really worries me because I get paranoid. That's something worse, even though I already had an MRI and everything came back fine. Do you have any suggestions on how to take your mind off things? What are you paranoid about? Send me another one on here of your paranoia. Like just general things. It doesn't have, you don't have to get too specific if it's really personal. But shoot me a thing on what you get paranoid about. Um, a lot of times, people who have never experienced anxiety and don't fully understand it. The symptoms do with my headaches or something worse. Symptoms to do with my head or something worse. Like you get paranoid about your headaches and stuff like that. Is that what you're saying? Um, Actually, what I was going into just talking just then is has to do with that a lot. Okay, yeah. Um, a lot of times when people start experiencing a lot of stress and anxiety, they don't, especially at your age, at 15, me at 17, when I started dealing with a lot of anxiety and stuff. I'm 25 now, but I started dealing with a lot of the same things when I was 17 and you're 15. You don't understand. A lot of people who've never experienced anxiety or depersonalization or panic disorder, they don't understand all the weird things that stress and anxiety can do to your mind and your body. When you're stressed out, your body's not working properly. It's tight. It's tense. Things tend to go weird. Start a lot of times people start having acid reflux because they're when you're stressed out and you're in a panic or whatever, your body's not processing food entirely because it's diverting energy to your muscles. Um, and other things, and you get paranoid because you don't know any better. When you don't know about something and something scares you, it's completely natural to get paranoid about it because you fear it. You don't know, you're scared, and it really uh, it really just depends on your situation. But oftentimes when people who have never experienced anxiety first start experiencing it, they experience it a lot worse and they get paranoid and all this stuff and they think more is wrong just because they don't understand all the things that can come along with anxiety. So they think all these other things are something separate when in reality it's just your body doing really weird things from being stressed out. Um, those manifestations can include panic attacks, headaches, you know, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, having vision problems, having balance issues, not wanting to eat, feeling nauseous, feeling irritable, feeling aggressive, feeling either super emotional or complete lack of emotion. Um, all those things can be caused by simple stress and lots of anxiety. Um, so it's completely natural that you are scared of, that you're paranoid that this symptoms, as with your headaches and stuff that won't go away, are are something else. Because I promise you, there's a billion other people just like you who have dealt with anxiety or depersonalization or panic, who have headaches, who are, because they're anxious and they're frazzled up and they don't understand what's going on and why this feeling's happening, why they can't get rid of these headaches and stuff, that they're like, oh my gosh, I have a brain tumor. Oh my gosh, I have cancer. No, you don't. It's because you don't. The only reason you think that is because you don't understand how all the other pieces. But now that I've told you, you know, headaches are a symptom of stress. No, it's not. No, you're not having a brain tumor. You've had it checked and you understand that. I mean, you just had an MRI and it came back clean, so you're good. But even though it came back good, you still worry about it. But that's because you don't understand. The more you educate yourself on what can happen during or what stress and anxiety can cause, the better off you are. Because if you knew more about it, you would know that headaches are definitely a symptom of stress and anxiety. People who have stress and anxiety, or too much stress and anxiety, and don't take it out anywhere, um, oftentimes have headaches. I get headaches all the time, but on days that I exercise more, I get less headaches. On days that I don't focus, that I'm not as anxious, that I stay busy, I get less headaches. On days that I am generally less stressed, I don't get headaches. Um, like I said, there's tons of things that can help that. They can give you an outlet for that stress to start causing less headaches. Yoga is a tremendous one. Exercise in general, cardio, weightlifting, anything you can do to de-stress your body, meditation, um, staying away from freaking smartphones and screens and all that crap all day. You know, um, all that can help. But it's it's just a symptom of stress. There's nothing else wrong with you. It's just a byproduct of being stressed out all the time. Hmm. Back to panic triggers. People, I was talking about the one where somebody told me that they were scared to eat, so they wanted to eat around people because they were afraid they were going to choke. But they felt so nauseous because of the stress that they didn't want to eat around people because they didn't want someone to see them throw up if they got too nauseous. Um, that is a hard one to do, but I promise you, um, just same way. Keep working at it. Keep, you got to do it. You got to get over that fear because it's not going to happen. And it can be, but it can. That's what I'm talking about. Stress can manifest itself even in that way. Um, having a trigger that's different from everybody else, and that's something else that people they're like, oh, well, why do I feel this way, and someone else who else is dealing with an anxiety disorder or depersonalization, they don't feel that, they feel this. Well, everybody's different. It's the same way that like you know, two people take the same medicine. One of them it helps them tremendously. The other one it doesn't do anything at all. Everybody's body's different. Everybody's going to things are going to manifest differently in different people. So just because you're not the same as someone else and dealing with a disorder or whatever it is, that you have something else entirely. That's not true. Um, just different things manifest in different ways in different people. But um, being trying to see where I was going with that. Hmm. Triggers. Um, you definitely want to be mindful of your triggers. Be aware of them, but don't be afraid of them. Because you're gonna have to. You can't live. You can't go through life totally avoiding your triggers. Because there's people like for instance, if you have a family to support, and one of your triggers is going into the grocery store, you're gonna have if you always run away from your triggers, you're not gonna be able to feed your family. So you got to face that. You got to face that trigger, no matter what it is, and continue to go through it. Be aware of it, accept it. Like, this makes me anxious. This is all that. But question is, do you have trouble sleeping or feel really detached when you wake up in the morning? Yes. Mornings are the hardest part of my day. They always have been, even before I had any anxiety or DP. Yes, I feel super detached in the mornings. Trouble sleeping. I used to have a lot more trouble sleeping. Now that I'm not, um, now sleeping's not really hard on me. I can sleep pretty well. I do wake up throughout the night a good bit. But overall, I have a lot of bad dreams. But overall, sleeping is not too terribly bad. Once you get into a good routine, even if you have trouble sleeping, it helps a lot. If you watch some of my other videos and stuff on sleep, how incredibly important sleep hygiene is, and getting in a routine and stuff. All of those things contribute to your body shutting down easier and going to sleep easier. But in the morning, the detachment is definitely worse. But if you are willing to not lay in bed and ruminate when you first wake up, and as soon as you wake up, hop out of bed and get some food in you, get some exercise, it helps times a billion to get reattached back into your life, to let some of that stress off. Because I am the same way. First thing in the morning, I feel very anxious, very detached, and it is the worst part of my day. But you can counteract that by, instead of laying in bed and ruminating about it and thinking about it all day, for the first 30 minutes you waking up, just sitting there dreading it and thinking about how bad it sucks and how shit you feel and all that kind of stuff. If you jump straight up out of bed, whether you're in a terrible mood or not, because I'm in a pretty shit mood when I wake up most days, just because I like sleeping and I don't like having to wake up. But if you jump straight out of bed eat your food, and jump straight into your morning workout routine, it helps so much. I mean, I don't even care if your morning workout routine is your morning jumping jacks or your morning burpees or your morning run or your morning weightlifting session. I like doing cardio in the morning and weights at night. But whatever it is, you got to start off with a workout routine first thing in the morning because it just gets your body moving. It's healthier to work out when you first wake up because all your hormone levels are higher when you first wake up in the morning, and it's just better. So sometimes I'll sleep too much so I don't have to face the day. Really trying not to do that anymore because you're right, ruminating makes it so much worse. Yes, too much sleep can be a negative thing as well. Too much sleep is can be detrimental, and I agree. When I first started dealing with DP, all I wanted to do is sleep because all I wanted to do is hide from it. I wanted to sleep as much as possible. I was like, if I the more I sleep, the more I won't have to deal with this, and maybe one day I'll just wake up and it will be gone, which is not the case. Um, uh, Yes, ruminating when you first wake up. Ruminate that has been one of my biggest Achilles heel for almost the entire time I've dealt with it is how crap I feel in the mornings. But like I said, if you jump straight up, take a shower, whatever, jump. I like jump. My the thing I say to do. You can get your shower, in a little later, but jump straight up, get a little food in you, and do it straight into a morning exercise routine 30 minutes to an hour and then get your shower before you go to work or whatever you're going to do for the rest of the day um, is imperative um, because if you lay around, I do not care who you are, I do not care what you are doing. If you are dealing with DP, anxiety, whatever it is, sitting in one place bored, you cannot help but to ruminate because you've gotten stuck in that thought loop mindset. You will start to ruminate. I don't care what it is about that, especially with DP. You will definitely ruminate when you first wake up if you do not jump into action doing something, and that is just a fact. So, as soon as you wake up, feet on the floor, food, exercise, shower, get on with your day. Um, I have definitely noticed that um, on times I do not have anything to do, boredom is a killer. You must jump up and get after it. Um, hmm. Any other questions? Anybody? Anybody got some good questions? Send them on. Triggers. Another trigger. Let me think. People say that exercise, especially cardio, triggers their panic attacks. That is a big one. And I can say that I understand because when I first started dealing with panic and anxiety, I did not want to do a lot of cardio because when my heart rate got up, it's very similar to feeling as if you were having a panic attack with your elevated heart rate and just all around, you're worked up and all that kind of stuff, and it was very much simulating a panic attack. So I was scared to death, and I've always been huge into fitness, especially when I was younger. I was a weight room freak, and I was always working out, and I started getting freaked out by the way I felt while I was doing cardio because it reminded me of having a panic attack. Um, and the older I've gotten, the more I think that that is more of a blessing because you can use that fear and that cardio to train because it's not an actual panic attack. um, you can use it to become used to that feeling. You can use it as a form of exposure. You can get used to that pounding heart rate. You can get used to being out of breath, and you can use that as a tool to train for panic attacks. The same way I've talked about, you can use the overwhelmingness of ice cold showers or ice baths to train for panic attacks because it takes your breath, and most people when something takes their breath, they have to jump right back out, and they won't stand there and take it until they become used to it. It's the same exact way using ice baths and or cold showers to train for panic attacks. You jump in there, your body's telling you get back, get back, get back. Same way in a panic attack, it's saying run away, run away, run away. But if you continue to stand there, eventually, the same way as in a panic with a panic attack, it will go away if you don't respond to it. The same way, the ice bath works the same way because eventually, in a couple minutes, your breathing will level back out, and your body will level back out and calm down and become used to it. Um, so I think that using cardio and using things that get your heart rate up and stuff as training mechanisms to learn to deal with panic and its symptoms is a good thing. Hard at first, uh, I know, but definitely, definitely a good, definitely a good platform for training for panic attacks and episodes of high anxiety or depersonalization. Um, hmm, don't know where to go next. If I don't get anybody in here, I may go ahead and jump off and jump back out of YouTube. But I'm trying to think of any more triggers I can discuss before I go. Hmm. Uh, uh, hmm. Maybe just being alone. Some people are their anxiety gets triggered just by simply being alone. They get in their head. They get freaked out. Practice being alone. You know, whether it's staying at home alone, living alone. If you can't, if you're not, if you don't live alone, then heck, take a walk by yourself. Practice it. Don't run away from it. Become okay with being with yourself. Um, that's all the ones I can think of for right now. I don't have anybody in here, so I'm gonna I'm gonna peace out. But I'm gonna do another one sometime, maybe tonight. But I'll probably be gone for a few days, taking a little vacation. But you know, uh, I don't know if it's. I'll put it in the description probably on this, but in my other videos, my email's in there. If you have a question, shoot me an email. All right, thanks, guys.